Yo, what up? It's Tipo Palacio. We're here in the South Side. I'm repping Leon, Guanajuato, repping Chicago, and now you're tuning into Chicago Street TV.
My wife, she a proud mom, caring, she's my canvas. My brother prays for all of us, though he's a menace. My kids in his heart, though besides all the madness. Tell the docs, there's no doubt that my daughter is a miracle. And they ops try to pull you with their tentacles. It's been decimals, haven't dropped an album in a decade over death, or who knows. So pops, that's the way to.
So your rap name, Tipo Palacio. For those who don't know Spanish, what does your name mean?
Tipo Palacio just means palace type. You know, like when you go to a house and you're like, man, this house is big. It's like a palace, you know, it's palace type, you know, it's a palace type. And
So what's the story behind the name?
one time I was writing a song and one of the lyrics was Tipo Palacio, and I liked it. I like how it sounded, so I went with it. And I've been using it since 2017. I was born in Mexico, Leon, Guanajuato, but I make some Caribbean music with a hip hop background, and it's a hybrid. I try to just implement every type of music, every genre. I grew up listening to just what my parents were listening to, and they listened to different varieties, and that just stuck with me. And my producer, it's probably the same. He implements what he heard, and he just brings it to life.
So why don't you think a lot of Mexican artists get into making or creating Caribbean style type of music?
A lot of the Hispanic artists that make music, I think they go with what they're used to, and they keep it traditional, you know, and that's fine because that's their style, you know. And but with me, it's not me, so I try to do other things, you know. I try to experiment with different beats, and I'm also opening. Even though I work with Criminal, I'm also open to work with other talented beat makers. As long as they're good, you know. As long as they're bringing something good to the table. I left Mexico when I was 8 years old, and now I'm 32.
So is it in your situation, is it hard to be an artist coming from like another country?
At first, I thought it was gonna be a major struggle, but it actually opened a lot of doors, because it makes me stand out a lot of people. And it was hard because when we came from Chicago, we came to Chicago. We lived in Pilsen. Then we moved to Gage Park, and then we ended up in Burbank, and then that's where I started my family, and I moved to Oregon, and then I came back to Chicago.
So growing up, it seems like you really are very into different types of genres of music. What type of music did you listen to growing up?
I listened to what my parents used to. Well, obviously, when I was a kid, I listened to whatever they listened to, and in the long run.
So what kind of artists were those?
Oh, they was cumbia, pop, regional Mexican music, the Spanish music, and all those things just stuck with me. And once I started like high school, I started getting into rock music, and I like rock a lot, and I always listened to all kinds of music, punk, rap, but I always had a thing for drums. So that's when, 2006, that's when I started rapping, and I was like, I could play the drums, I could rap, it's just follow the beat, and that's why I'm able to write the beats, because I used to play the drums, so I know that it's all about keeping up with the beat. Once you lose a beat, it throws off the whole song.
So the style genre that you have, I would say in Chicago is kind of rare. So how is it that you get your beats and how your music gets produced?
All my first album in 2009 was Urbano, and most of the beats were reggaeton, but it was a different kind of reggaeton that it was never heard of. It was more house influence, more bass influence, and it pounded really hard. Like, and now as the time goes by, we try to move to the future, and we try to incorporate new elements into our music, and using the production values of today, and we just try to work with everything with tools that we got. It's it's hard being a Latino artist, but I feel like we could always just succeed and not look back what had our struggles and just look into the future.
Chicago has a very high population when it comes to Latinos. We're actually one of the biggest cities in the United States that has the most population of Hispanics. Why do you think we don't really have that many Latino successful famous artists coming out of Chicago?
Well, here in Chicago, the reason the Latinos struggle is because we, as Latinos, we hate on on each other, and we just gotta stop hating on each other and just support our movement because we're all trying to make it, and we're not here to compete against each other. Well, I mean, we're all trying to win our games, our own matches, but we're not trying to bring anybody down. And I feel like that's the problem with Latinos sometimes, that we bash on each other, but there is a lot of Latinos that support our own race.
So is there anybody in particular that you work with closely who produces your music?
Yeah, I've been working with a producer from Chicago, from the south side of Chicago. His name is Criminal. We've been making music for over 10 years. We clicked back about 10 years ago. Man, I remember back in '09 when we were working on Urbano, we were just doing it like super homemade, and we had an audio interface. It was one of the more basic ones. We had a $100 mic. We had the Adobe Edition, and with those tools, we were able to drop Urbano, and it sounded good for that time that it was. And now obviously we have better equipment. We have a condensed mic. We have a great interface, keyboards. We have just everything to get music done in a professional level. And being an independent artist, it's always a joy finding the equipment that's for you, because you're gonna be working with it. It's like having instruments. You wanna get personal with your instruments, And I feel like a lot of producers nowadays, like they don't have the music soul to it. It's more robot like.
Is there any recent projects that you've recently done or completed?
Yeah, I've done a couple shows for Beat Crushers. In 2018, I did Midwest Unidos 3, and that was a lit show at Refuge Live. It was in downtown. I like performing there. It's a good small venue. Then I did some showcase tours in western suburbs, like in Joliet, Crestwood, and that was with the showcase tour. But I personally like working with the Beat Crushers, but they're both good promotions. And Beat Crushers, we did a show at the House of Blues. That one was lit, and then the after party was dope.
So
I would like to return there.
The House of Blues, can you describe why do so many people talk about House of Blues? What makes it different from all the other venues?
I think it's the charm that it has, because me and Criminal, we went up the elevator, it was a Willy Wonka elevator. It was like it took us upstairs it was just weird. I was like, I didn't think it was gonna be like that. It was huge. They had so many rooms, like so many places to perform. It's not just one place to perform. It's different ones, and it was just dope experience that night. And shout out to all the artists that were there, and it was a fun night.
So you mentioned Beat Crushers a few times. How is it that you linked up with Beat Crushers, or what's the story behind it?
I found out about the Beat Crushers through Nate Cruel. There's this artist. He told me, he's like, you gotta start doing live shows. So he sent me a flyer with the with the band Midwest Unidos Tres, and I called J.R. Hollywood like, yo, I heard that you're a promoter here in the South and you do shows for up and coming talent. And he's like, yeah. He's like, you wanna be part of it? And I said, yeah. And that's how it all started.
So from all the shows you've done, do you see the progress and the growth in your performances?
Yeah, I remember my first show. I was so nervous. Like I literally, like before on stage, I got really, because I was so nervous. I started drinking a lot, and so I went to the bathroom and I threw up before the show. And when I was on stage, I was just so nervous. I did the songs. I think I missed a couple lyrics.
So it's funny, the story that you just told me kind of reminds me of like Slim Shady with 8 Mile when he threw up right before the show. So
Yeah, it was just that's what people were saying. It was like that, and I put a couple of videos on IG and YouTube.
so from the beginning to now, do you still get like that, or does that you're not like that anymore?
When I go on stage now, I try not to drink no more because like it's a big distraction. I try to drink after, just for the fact that I have to be on my game 100%, and maybe one beer will be okay, but nothing more than that. Yeah, we got an album coming up next year, early winter. I'm really looking forward to it. It's called Firmo Firme Firma.
So are you like halfway through the project, or are you almost done with it?
I would say it's like 35% done. It's a process, and sometimes it's frustrating because it's just time consuming, but it's just the way it has to be done, because when you rush things, that's when things come out like half-assed, and you're just not satisfied with it. Then you look back, you drop the song, and you're like, man, I think I messed up. Like I think I should have just waited a little bit longer. That's why when I learn from my past experiences when I drop a song, and I just take my time with it, and just be patient. And the music's coming. It takes time, but the music takes time. The production value is gonna be top notch. I'm really looking forward to it.
So is this gonna be a solo album, or are you planning on having a few artists
Well, it's
featured?
mostly gonna be a solo album, but I'm also gonna have features in there, Chicago artists and other Midwest talent. Hopefully, some rappers from California want to jump in there. Let's see.
So this album, is it gonna be mainly hip hop, reggaeton, or what is the majority of this genre of the album gonna be?
Well, my style has always been like a hybrid of different cultures. It's hard to explain. It's just what it is. I like to say that it's hip hop and reggaeton blended, but in a Chicago way, through the ears of the producer. Yeah, we got a video, a mini documentary called "Airing It Out." It's coming up, and we're gonna be talking about just everything in general in the music industry, how our thoughts and our opinions about it. Hopefully, it will reach people, and people will realize how things are, and how as an artist and producers.
So you're gonna be talking more about like the ugly side of the business when it comes to music
Yeah,
industry?
and how people nowadays, like, everything's about money, and how you can't go anywhere, like say like the other day I had purchased some artwork, and you gotta pay money up front to get the service done, unless they won't give you the service. So you pay this artist to do this drawing for you, and they say they're gonna have a quick turnaround date, and then it ends up that it wasn't like that. It is just it they have other work that they're doing and you're not their priority. And it's just people just try to capitalize on artists but there are the exceptions of people that do try to help people and they really are there to help the artists. And shout out to those people. Chicago Street TV, he does it, they're doing it for the love. He does it for the artists. It's all business too. Like we're all trying to make it out of our struggles. But we help we try to help everybody out.
So when you say we, as far as this mini documentary, is there any other artists that are going to be involved in it?
This video is mostly focused on criminal start of the music industry and how everything is being planned out. I will be throwing my 2 cents in and talk about just things in general, how artists are being ripped off and just all different kinds of things.
So you guys are going to be talking about your guys' personal experiences and hearing from other artists' personal experiences.
Yes. Everybody, I know everybody has their own thoughts of the music industry and their own point of view, but this is our way of sharing how we feel about it.
You're my accomplice, trying to stay in line, it's a thought, yeah.